ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुकुं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Thank you for joining. No. This is wonderful. Very grateful. So, we finished. Somehow the recording was messed up last time, so I couldn't share. Did we cover up to 5? Is that right? Yeah. So we are supposed to start from 6. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to. Okay, beautiful. It came there, right? Okay, very nice. So we are reading starting from chapter 3, text 6, just to connect the dots back. Based on the second chapter, Arjuna thought he can go to the forest and practice what do you call vairagya, renunciation, right? And then he said, Krishna, you spoke about karma yoga, you spoke about jnana yoga, which is going to the forest. What do I practice? So these are the two verses Arjuna asked. And now Krishna explains from verse 3 to 5 what we have gone so far. He recommends him to do karma yoga rather than jnana yoga, because karma yoga and jnana yoga both are needed, but they are on a different platform. One cannot directly go to jnana yoga until person's heart is purified. Now this is very important part. When we think from the horizon of our when we think from the timeline of that horizon, that we have passed through many lifetimes, and like we discussed in 1 second, I think I'm not sharing here in this, so give me a second, I will share here also. Okay, now you should be able to see that as well. So material life and spiritual life, the difference is that in material life, even if I did PhD, in next life, I can't say I did already PhD, you get me a job. No, I have to start from scratch. But spiritual life is not like that. So wherever I finish in this lifetime, if I did not perfect, I'll start exactly from that period of time. So in mundane calculation, if you have to put, if I finish till 10th grade, I'll start from 11th grade in my next life. So when I think from that horizon, I may have already done karma yoga and I perfected it. So when I come in this lifetime, I am detached from the activity, so I can directly practice jnana yoga. Am I making sense? However, I may not finish my karma yoga in previous life, which is having a detached spirit. So I continue karma yoga to become detached from my activities and then come to the platform of jnana yoga. And that is what Krishna is speaking about, that no one can be inactive. And that's a very important aspect when we think from Krishna consciousness perspective. And we will read that specifically mentioning about Bhagavad Gita is a book of principle teaching you not to leave everything, but use everything in Krishna's service. In Hindi, we call it as chodna nahi hai, jodna hai. We don't have to leave anything, we have to connect everything to Krishna. So, with that, we will start text 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Karmendriyani samyamya.
Karmendriyani संयम्य
Thank you. Ya aste manasasmaran.
या अस्ते मनसा स्मरन्
Indriyarthan vimuddatma.
Manvanadatma
इन्द्रियात्मा
Mithyachara sauchyate.
Mityachara Sauchyate.
उच्यते.
Can anybody read the translation? Go ahead, bro.
One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
Very nice. So, when we spoke about the Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, what happens is people who are not at that platform of Jnana, when they directly jump into that, for an example, I remember I was learning swimming, and I had a fear, but my friends pushed, and then we went. And this teacher was weird. What did he do on the first day itself? He said, "Go up and jump from there." So it's a height, which is like almost like this window. So he asked us to go up, and I didn't want to jump. I was just very fearful seeing the water, but everyone jumped, and I was not moving. So they said, "You have to move. You have to move because there are so many people behind." Somehow I managed to jump, and I jumped, and of course I did not know swimming, so I underwater, and they pulled me out. That was the end of my swimming journey. Never did ever again. So what happens is, if one is not qualified to be at a certain stage, when he jumps to that stage, or any sadhaka, any practitioner who goes to that stage, he suffocates. And this is the same problem when someone is not perfectly renounced and he entered to the renounced path, which is leaving everything, detached path, but his desire to be and being in relationship or connection is there, he will become mithyachari. And that is what we briefly spoke towards the end of last week class. We see a lot of orange robe sannyasis who actually attained such a highest stage, but they came back and opened up so many hospitals or so many factories and all that stuff. So that's one of the verse which is being spoken about. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that refuse to work in Krishna consciousness. So what you see in this picture, and this is one of the unfortunate aspect, you see a lot of people who take sannyas or they take the path of this. What is their problem? They cannot leave that the enjoyment tendency, and they go into this path. I remember before even came to Krishna consciousness, there was this movie, very old movie by Devanand, and he was talking about one of the song Dam Maro Dam. I don't know if you've seen that. So there actually, that was the first time Hare Krishna, Hare Rama came into the picture. That actually came to criticize this process. The idea about that song or idea of that movie is, what is this going on the name of God? They are actually just puffing all this nonsense and all that stuff. But the reality of the world is, these people who actually joined Krishna conscious were like that, but they were transformed. And they became wonderful Vaishnavas wearing dhoti kurta, attending morning program. And what to talk about leaving these intoxicants, they even left tea and coffee. Today, what is the biggest business in America, especially in the morning? Coffee. Nothing runs without coffee in America. Same way in South India, I heard it's coffee as well. And South India, it's tea. Without that, the life does not move on. Imagine a person who is intoxicant, who has only one rule, which is to not have any rules. And those people get transformed. But what happens with such examples when the people come to come there, but they are not purified. Then they create a havoc. There was a thief, and Prabhupada was given by some person. He was given what is that famous brand in watches? Royal Rolls or what? Huh? Rolex. Yes, thank you. That is a car. The other one which I was telling. So Prabhupada was given that gift. So Prabhupada was wearing this watch, and this thief got to see that watch in Prabhupada's hand, and he wanted to steal that watch. So what he did is he joined the movement. He because during those period of times people would stay in the temple. That's how Prabhupada arranged, and then you are welcome to stay in the temple and practice. So he started practicing. But what was his motive? I want that watch. The time went on, went on, went on. One day, Prabhupada is sitting and this person is sitting. Now he realized this is the golden moment. Prabhupada is speaking, but this guy's eyes are only on the watch. Prabhupada just unwrap the watch. This is what you're looking for. Take it. No word spoken. This person had a change of heart. He actually became a pakka devotee in Krishna consciousness, and he is the one who's telling this story. What is importance here is that when you talk about the path of naiti, not this, not this, not this, the mind doesn't register. Oh, I shouldn't do this, I should not eat this, I should not do that. The mind doesn't register that, which is what the platform of Jnana Yoga is. But when you come to the platform of Karma Yoga, by performing this activity in Krishna consciousness, your heart gets purified. And your desire to actually what you are looking for, it gets eradicated. One time, one of the monk, he was traveling from Pune or Mumbai to Mathura, train. So there was one young guy sitting there, very morose. And he saw this brahmachari, the celibate monk who is chanting. So he went to this celibate monk, and he said, I have a problem. He said, what is the problem? He said, my girlfriend broke up the relationship, whatever they call it as. So, but I want to patch it up. Okay, do you have any suggestions? So the celibate monk said, I have a solution. But when you practice that solution, two things can happen. Either the patch up will happen with your girlfriend, or your desire to have that connection with her will go away. You got my point, right? This person said, no, I just only want the first part. I don't want my desire to go away, that I want to have again connection with her. And similar way, the point here is that when we come to bhakti, when we come to the platform of understanding the spiritual life, we have our attachments. So now there are two parts. These attachments are causing the pain. Very similar, like a person who has a cancer tumor. He feels there is a pain. I don't want to get surgery, or I don't want to go through the pain, but this tumor has to come out. So either you do that path or you suffer. But there are no other path from that perspective. So when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we identify what are my gray areas, where is my struggle. And if these struggles are getting wiped out by what am I practice, we should do that rather than thinking, no, I want to keep those connections here, right? So one is the point is refuse to work in Krishna consciousness. People think about renunciation means leaving everything. I don't want to do anything. So Karma Yoga, or specifically in this Nishkama Karma Yoga, is actually performing activities, not that you do not perform activities, but the motive is changed. So every karmi goes to work for what purpose? I need a salary and I want an enjoyment. Now you do the same work, but what is the thought process? That I want to do it for Krishna. I want to purify my heart, right? So second point, what they do is the people who are on the Jnana Yoga make a show of meditation. I'm not talking about whole Jnana Yoga. I'm talking about an imperfectionist practicing a perfection process. The third one, he may also speak on the derived philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers. And I give that example. When I was a small boy, my parents used to play Atma serial, and there was this really amazing person, fantastic speaker, must tell you. Tears would come from your eyes. He was such a fantastic speaker. And when I would wake up and they would play, and anyhow I would listen that, and I will do whatever bathing and all that stuff going on, and this the sound vibration is going on. I grew up a little. I realized this guy went to jail. Now, this is the problem with this thing. What they do is they may speak the right philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers, thinking that, oh, this guy did the magic and I will follow that. And they are the greatest cheater, which you mentioned in the translation. They are pretenders, and that is a problem. It is better to be honest and practice whatever platform you are on, rather than showing something else to outside world, but inner world has a different problem. Right? Their mind is impure. Actually, they dwell within their mind about sense enjoyment. And we gave the example about Vishwamitra Muni. He's trying to practice perfect process of renunciation, but he is not purified. His desire to enjoy did not go. That's why when Indra sent the apsaras, not one time, twice, got bewildered, started from scratch again. Very beautiful book on Rama, and it just shows that. So, what is it? No value of knowledge, because effects of such sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. And that is an important point in this verse. Any comments before we move on to the next verse? All aligned? All good, Mataji? Okay. Online, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, beautiful. So we are on text 3.7. Yastva indriyani manasa
यस्त्वि इन्द्रियाणि मनसा
मनसा
niyamayarbate arjuna
नियम
नियमायार्भते अर्जुन
karmendriya karma yogam
कर्मेन्द्रिया
कर्मेन्द्रिय
कर्मयोगम्
asakta sa vishishyate.
असक्ता सा
असक्तः
विशिष्यते.
स विशिष्यते.
Translation, please.
On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga and Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior.
Very nice. Not that, like when Lord Ram was building a bridge, so all these monkeys were assisting Lord Ram to build that bridge. Hanuman was bringing big boulders, and there was a small squirrel. She would actually get some sand pebbles, and then she would put it in the sea. So Hanuman asked, "This is not going to help." And Lord Ram noticed. This is a story in connection to that. Lord Ram said, "The squirrel is helping as much as you are helping. Her capacity to bring the pebble, and your capacity is to bring the boulder. But in my eyes, both are same. Why? Because the intention is very important. What what activities we are doing is not important. What is the intention behind that is important. I was just sharing in another class. So there was a Brahmana, and I don't know if I share that. If I did share, please let me know. And there was a prostitute. They were living just across the street. So this Brahmana would read Bhagavad Gita every day, and this prostitute was just doing her own business. So one day, someone knocked at the door of Brahmana. And who was that? Yamadutas. And when he opened the door, what he saw on the opposite side of the door, there were Vishnu Dutas knocking the door of this prostitute. So Brahmana said, "Hold on. I think there is some communication. You got the wrong address. You were supposed to go on the other side and tell them to come this side." We said, "No, we don't make mistakes." Why is that? And they clarify. While you were reading Bhagavad Gita, you were actually looking at the prostitute house, thinking that how can I enjoy her? And that prostitute, because of her own thing, whatever she was doing that job, thinking that I wish I would be like that Brahmana who can read Bhagavad Gita every day. When will I be fortunate to actually read that Bhagavad Gita? So, what is the moral? Go ahead, Prabhu. You want to-
Yeah, actually, the hater of God is much closer to God than actually standing in front of the God and not doing it.
Good. At least he's taking the name of God. Kamsa is better than people who are not even chanting the name of God. Of course, I'm not saying they are comparable to devotees, but the reality is that hook or crook, I'm actually chanting the name of Krishna, which is very important here. Very, very important here. Compared to a person who has nothing to do with spirituality and who is not practicing at all. And this is an important point. We may be performing a very simple act, which is maybe just sweeping the floor in the temple, or every week sincerely coming and attending Bhagavad Gita. Versus there would be scholars who know Bhagavad Gita shlokas translation by mouth. They can tell you the whole Bhagavad Gita, but their application of Bhagavad Gita is not there. The desire to actually practice that Bhagavad Gita in their life is not there. That will not please the God. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I showed you Lord Chaitanya and Nityanand Prabhu are on the small deities on the left hand side. So Lord Chaitanya went to South India. I forgot the exact place, which I think Kurmakshetra. I can't recollect exactly. So he comes there to one of the temple in South India, and there is one Brahmana. This Brahmana was reading Bhagavad Gita upside down. So other Brahmanas were making fun of him. And Lord Chaitanya noticed. So Lord Chaitanya went to him. He said, Sir, what's going on? He says, my guru said to recite Bhagavad Gita page to page, till first to last page. Okay, but I'm an illiterate. I don't know how to read. So what do? I just follow my spiritual master's instruction. I just go from page to page. Okay, but then I have a question. While you're reading, I see the tears flowing from your eyes. Why is that? He says, when I see, this is the first page, when Krishna is being a chariot driver of Arjuna, is like a servant, it's like an Uber driver. And in the war field, if Arjuna has to tell Krishna, take right, he has to put his feet on the right shoulder of Krishna. When I see Krishna, who's a supreme personality of Godhead, he is the Lakshmi Pati. He is just the chariot driver for his devotee. That expression of love, that Bhakta Vatsala, brings tears in my eyes. Lord Chaitanya said, you are a perfect person to read Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because you have understood the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. It's to fall in love with Krishna. And even if you are illiterate, you can't read, but you have that love, which other Brahmanas who knows Bhagavad Gita don't have that love. He says you are perfectly eligible to go back to Godhead. So question is not that we should not have a knowledge. That knowledge has to be utilized for what? To fall in love with Krishna. Not to decorate. Like same thing. The cloth which we decorate, the same cloth can be used to decorate the dead body. So point is not to decorate our body with the cloth. The purpose of the cloth which I'm wearing has to be served. That's the point which I wanted to bring. But in this case, what we see from text 6 and 7, this beautiful flow chart is showing a pretender. Like if you see from the second one, which is start with the center, for sense enjoyment, the brahmacharis, grasta, vanapras, and sannyas, there are 4 ashrams God has created. What they do is they follow rules and regulations of their orders, and gradually they come to the path of perfection. And same way you see the last one, which is if a sincere person controls the senses through the mind and engages in karma yoga, but without attachment, he is far superior compared to the first one, who is a pretender, who does a deep meditation, does the show, and his mind dwells on sense object. His philosophy has no value because the knowledge is stolen by the illusory energy of the Lord. Right? Very similar to the prostitute and the Brahmana story which I mentioned. So rather than being a pretender that, oh, I know a lot, be honest. I'm not perfectionist, but I have a desire to be perfectionist. I want to actually attain the love of Krishna. There is a very, very elevated soul in our process. He has been practicing for over 50 years. He said a beautiful line. He said, I don't want to be a great devotee. I want to be a sincere devotee. Very beautiful line, actually touched my heart. We don't want to show the world that I have become a perfectionist. That's not the point. The point is that I want to be a sincere devotee. Whatever I'm doing, if I'm sweeping the floor, I will do it sincerely. If I'm chanting, I will do sincerely. If I'm doing any service, I want to do sincerely. I don't want to show off the world what am I doing. And that's the key. Make sense? So that was the connection between 6 and 7. Just some points from the purport we will quickly summarize. So instead of becoming a pseudo transcendentalist, we should follow Varnashram and go back to Godhead. What is that? Swartha Gati, which is thinking about what is the true Swartha. Swartha means actually selfishness. But what is selfishness here? Is the selfishness of soul going back to Godhead. A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna, which is live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras, continue carrying out business without attachment. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better, like we were speaking about, than the Chala Ratna meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. And what is the additional explanation? And which I was speaking just few minutes back. Bhagavad Gita is a world engaging book, not a world leaving book. So Bhagavad Gita doesn't teach you, oh, should not do, should not do, should not do, should not do. What you should do, that is has to be there. It is said as a good parent, if you want to groom your kids, you should not tell them not to do things. You have to tell them what to do things. Because when you just say no, 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 the kids become rebellious, saying that, oh, for this also my dad says no, 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 no. And what happens, you see certain times, whatever you say no to kids, they do the same thing. I know your kids have grown up, but I have seen whatever I tell them, they will exactly do opposite.
It doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't change. That's oh, even thank you. So that's the thing, because we just don't give them a substitute of what better to do rather than doing this thing. So that's the key thing. So in essence, Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna that premature renunciation is not good. Lord Krishna is not propagating to work for self. He's not saying, oh, work is worship. He's explaining one should work for a higher purpose than just self. I'm not doing everything just for me. Make sense? Can we move to the next verse? Text 8. Niyatam kuru karma tvam. Sorry. Niyatam karma sorry. Niyatam kuru karma tvam.
Niyatam
Niyatam kuru karma tvam.
Karma jyo yohi akarmanaha.
Karma jo hui karmana.
Sharira yatra pichate.
Sharira yatra pichate.
Na parisheded akarmanaha.
Na parisate karmana.
Any volunteer for translation?
Yeah, I can read.
Go ahead, bro.
Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work.
Very nice. Thank you. Krishna says to Arjuna, since you have he's not talking to Arjuna, but this is for us. Since we have impure heart, we must necessarily perform activity for purification of heart. This is very important. Even when someone takes the path, say, one decides saying that there are two things. One is I can carry Grasta ashram, or I can continue brahmachari and then come to the sannyas ashram. But a brahmachari says, oh, I will not do anything. I will just sit there and then chant the name of God. That's not the point which is being spoken of. Even as a brahmachari or a grasta, one has to be perfectly engaged. Why? This is very, very important. We are the result of three modes of life, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. A person who is very active, which is in the form of passion, and most of the population falls into that category. For that person, sitting inactive is a problem. If he is inactive, performing, thinking that I'm not there, and inactive, then he will create a bigger damage than anybody else. I'll share you one beautiful real story. So, even for someone to join as a monk in the process, they put a constraint saying that you will have to work outside at least for a year. You have to finish your education, which is the most important part, and then you should work at least at least 1 year, and then you are welcome to join the temple. So there was this person who joined. He wanted to join the temple, but he has to finish that criteria of working outside. So he joined one company, and he was taking care of marketing. So for marketing, you have to go to various places, talk about your product, you have to sell, and you have to market that stuff. What this guy would do would leave in the morning, take the products and whatever it is, and he would just sit in the temple. He wouldn't do anything. So devotee asked him, "Hey, what are you doing? You took up a job, and then this is thing. Hey, ultimately, I have to just fulfill the criteria for 1 year. Anyhow, I have to follow this process. So what's the point? 1 year will pass, and then anyhow I have to do that." This person said, "This is not good." Anyway, guy didn't realize. 1 year passed. 1 year passed, and he joined the temple. Now, when he joined the temple, the leader, like whatever, because you do so many services, you can't be inactive, like I said. So, whatever service he would be given, he will just somehow sneak out from there and sit in the corner and do something else. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Chanal Bhagwan ki jai, Nishai Pati Tapan Gaurari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can you correlate why this is happening? You understood what I said, right, just now? So this guy was.
I think he is not doing it for himself, he's doing it for visibility, I think, right?
Okay, that is one perspective. Nice.
Lazy, he doesn't want to do anything.
Okay, very nice. He's lazy. He doesn't want to do anything. Any comments online?
He just does not want to do anything, but that's kind of defeats the purpose. Even it's not serving anything.
He's not serving anything. Okay. Any other comments?
Prabhu, I think because he thought as a monk, they don't do anything else but just a bhakti and showing the world that this is the way of monk life. But monk life is very tough. It's just not only bhakti. There is a lot of services, lot of other stuff like discipline.
Yes. Yes.
So
Very nice.
that's why, like, when the other person give the work and they think that trying to say that discipline, if you did not do the discipline at your own work, you cannot carry forward the bhakti when they come to that platform.
Very nice. Very nice. Anybody else want to add before I chime in?
Yeah, I think as per this eighth chapter, it's eighth text, right?
Hmm.
It says, perform your prescribed duties. Don't pretend you're doing not doing it.
Very nice. Yes. Very beautiful. All these points are wonderful. He carried the same attitude he had it before, even when he came to the temple.
It's not changing.
The point is that if I do any activity, even outside my spiritual life, with that mindset, then I will bring the same mindset when I come to the temple. You're getting my point? Understanding what you are doing outside the temple is also part of bhakti. It's not like when I come to the temple, I wear a different dress and I become a different person. And when I get out of the door, I remove that and I wear another jacket and I become a different person. It's the same person. So the challenge here is that when I go out of the temple, I learn all these principles, but somehow the problem with the brain is that we think these are not compatible things when we go in the outside world. So what we do is we keep those aside in one locker and lock it outside when we go to the temple, and we bring our other person, which is completely opposite this most of the time principles. And when I come outside from that material to spiritual, I put a locker and open another locker and wear those treasures. This is called as duplicity. A person has to be not a mithyachari, practice based on what you are doing, irrelevant of what world thinks on it. Again, I don't want, when you talk about the quality of humility, is not that you become a doormat. You be honest in whatever you are doing. And initially, I had this question: how can these principles don't work? Like, I had some experiences where I spoke about, no, I didn't do any work. This guy did, and this guy opened up the collar. Yeah, I only did. This guy didn't do anything. I only did it. But over the time, I realized not that you have to say that I didn't do the work. Within your heart, you have that attitude. This is all mercy of Krishna. You don't have to publicize. You don't have to tell that this is what is happening. But it's a reality. Whatever happens in the world when a person take up Krishna consciousness, it's Krishna's arrangement, and everything is done by him. And one has to accept it in the heart, not necessarily you have to tell it outside. Does it make sense? Okay.
Yeah,
So
so I know some people I experienced probably around 35 years.
hmm,
They were very bad in the college,
hmm,
rude and bullying to others.
hmm,
I happened to meet the same people, same person in work. It's the same thing with
hmm,
all the employees and fighting with
hmm,
everybody. The same with his family,
hmm,
fighting with his own kids and wife. Same with the group setting.
hmm.
With all of us, we say yes, he will say no. What I'm seeing is the pattern is they are same everywhere. Good
Correct.
person is everywhere good. The bad people are really bad at everywhere. They can't be good at work and they are really bad at home.
Hmm.
It's not going to happen. It's the same thing. I think with the example you gave, he's bad at work. He knows it. It comes to the main purpose is to come to temple and serve, and he couldn't do that because he's doing the same cheating like what
Yeah,
he
so
did.
you have to carry the right attitude, and even when you go out, you carry that same attitude, not that you wear different clothes, right? So this is what takes text 8, just this flowchart is beautifully describing. When you have prescribed duty, just for your information, prescribed duty is whatever roles and responsibilities you have as a mother, as a professional, those are called as prescribed duty. So if you are performing on the right hand side or your left hand side, however you take it, gradually the purification of heart will happen. I'm not talking about performing those activities, not keeping Krishna in the center. This is all you're keeping Krishna in the center. So what happens? Gradually purification of heart happens, right? Which means tendencies to lord over the material nature will go away. What is the problem of today? What is the problem for us because of which we suffer, or when we go through difficulty or we struggle in the life? Because we think we are the creator, we are the proprietor, and we are the enjoyer. And these are the three problems. But when you understand who is the creator, Krishna is the creator. I didn't do anything. Even Brahma, who created the entire cosmic manifestation, he accepts, I didn't create anything. So who are we here? Same way, we understand when the results come, I'm not the enjoyer. It is all Krishna because of whom is happening. And on the left hand side, which is renouncing, what happens is you're leaving your prescribed duty. What happens? The fall down since activity is given up before purifying the heart. So what is best? You gradually perform karma yoga. You purify karma yoga with the intention everything is done for Krishna. Even if you have, since if you don't have, even if you are not pure, but with that goal, you, even if you have material desires, continue doing karma yoga. Eventually, you will come to the platform of the jnana yoga, which is you will be able to renounce everything rather than come directly to renunciation. However, I have that attachment to the fruits of the activity. And you see, in between, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. For him, engage himself in war, not renounce and going to the forest. This is what Krishna is telling to Arjuna. So, work should not be given up capriciously without purification of materialistic propensities. If one has a desire, one has to continue that until the heart is purified, right? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, and I will just only read the highlighted one. He says, anyone who is in this material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensity for lording it over material nature. I want a big house, I want a big car, I want these facilities. Or in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so called transcendentalist, renouncing work and living at the cost of others. Make sense? Material duty maintains material stability and facilitates spiritual focus. So, one has to actually practice whatever we are doing for the pleasure of Krishna. So, now everyone is aligned. Can we cover a couple of more verses?
Yeah, sure.
So, now we are getting into another section. So far, we covered verse 8. Now we are covering the another section which is 9 to 16. We will not cover all the verses, but I want to briefly describe what is the title of the section: Prosperity by pleasing the Lord, not by our smart plans. Which means following the scriptures, the rules and regulations through which, if you follow, the prosperity will come. At the end of the day, whatever we do, earlier they established dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. You perform dharma, then the artha will come. Through artha, you can do a kama, and then ultimately you get frustrated, you come to liberation. So, Scriptures actually mention a person who has a tendency to enjoy this material world, which means I need prosperity. So you perform devotional service, but by pleasing the Lord, not by our smart plans. I'll hook or crook, I will just do that. Like I gave an example about this person who followed the similar process when I came to the temple, versus just doing that thing. Or I gave an example about the thief who actually became transformed just because he is following the principles there on that front. So we will read text 3.9. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणो न्यत्र
यज्ञात्
यथार्थात्
कर्मणोऽन्यत्र
कर्मणोऽन्यत्र
लोकोऽयं कर्मणा
लोकोऽयं
लोकोऽयं
कर्मबन्धनः
कर्मबन्धनः
तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय
तदर्थं
तदर्थं
कर्म
कर्म
कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर.
मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर.
मुक्तसङ्गसमाचर.
Volunteer for translation, please.
I can.
Go ahead.
Work done as a sacrifice for
Sorry,
Vishnu.
go slow again, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, your prescribed duties for satisfaction, and in that way, you will always remain free from bondage.
Beautiful. What is Arjuna telling? He is Arjuna being told by Krishna. In this verse, Krishna is the giving a secret of why do we suffer or why do we struggle in this material world. So he is giving that example. If that activity which you perform, if you don't do it for pleasure of Krishna, if you do it for your own pleasure, then whatever are the fruits, whether good or bad, you are entitled for that. Which means if I'm doing any activity and that is not aligned with Krishna, if it is punya, pious credit, it will give me good results. And if it is papa, which is bad activities, it will give me papa. For any punya or papa, I will have to come back and reap the fruits of it. For an example, if I if I have the balance credit card, there is a negative balance, then I have to pay it off. Positive balance, then I have to pay off. If it's negative, I have to reap out of it. So whatever is the balance I have to carry. And just I think last week we were just discussing, or last to last week. So what happens is only human species is the one who reaps the fruit. Now this is interesting. So which means the animals, birds, reptiles, and all those species, they don't reap the fruits of their activity. So does it mean after they leave the life, they will go back to Godhead? No. So what happens is only in human life I can accrue karma and I reap the fruits of karma. So I accrued say $5,000. My time over in this body, then I take a body of dog. So that 5,000 carries forward. But based on the principle, he cannot reap the fruits of the karma, right? Which is when I say papa, whatever. So he cannot do any further activity. He's still carrying $5,000. Now the dog comes back to the another body of human. Immediately now that 5,000 credit gets activated. And now what happens after that? Whatever activity I perform, whatever this dog did, he did not add another thing on 5,000. But when I come to the human form of life, transactions start. 5,001, 5,002, 5,003, 5,004. And some of the karma results come. So it becomes 5,003 to 5,002, 5,001. And imagine how many karmas we perform as a human being. For that, there are 84 lakh species we have to go through. So many lifetimes we have to go through to clear up our balance, positive as well as negative. So now the question is, oh, this is a complicated point now. How do I get out of it? I don't want to do punya because I have to come for that. I don't have to do papa. I have to come for that also. So we will read ahead in Bhagavad Gita. So there are three. We just have heard only one word called karma. Three words actually. One is karma, which is punya. Second is vikarma, which is papa. And in between is akarma. So I mentioned these two so far, which is good results and bad results. But when you perform anything for pleasure of Krishna, you don't incur papa or punya. Our problem is that we don't want papa, but we want punya. So one may say, oh, akarma do, which means I will not get material facilities also. No, you will get material facilities, which is what we talked about prosperity here. But because, like a beautiful example is given, a child is there, he doesn't want to go to school. So his mummy says, oh, I'll give you Kit Kat. You go to school, you'll get the Kit Kat. So the child goes to school. He doesn't have a desire to go to school. What is his intention? I'll get the Kit Kat. So he goes to the school. He comes back and he gets the Kit Kat. Wow, this is nice. What he understood from that? I have my own agenda. I have my own desires. But at the same time, if I behave good, then I get awarded. You're with me so far? And over the time, what happens is he becomes big. Now he has big degrees. He realizes, oh my God, my mom actually, because of her, I have reached to this position. Otherwise, I would not have gone to school. I would not have studied and I would not have got this job and whatever degrees. So credit, he realizes, so my mom did the same thing. And at the same time, after certain days of eating chocolate, he feels, oh, my teeth are hurting. I don't want to eat it anymore. So why did I give this example? Let's connect these dots together. We don't want to perform bhakti. Why? I don't like it. But the scripture says, who's like mother, scriptures are considered to be mother, they say follow these principles. If you follow these principles, the prosperity will come. Great. Why am I doing? Not that because I like to do it. I am doing it so that because I'm going to get prosperity, I'm just aligning with that. And the prosperity comes and you enjoy the fruits, but then you feel, how about if I do it with pure love for Krishna? Then slowly, slowly you come and you come to this point of this result where you have wonderful things in your hand. Makes sense, right? So we see from this verse, one should work for the pleasure of Krishna, otherwise you will be led to material bondage. So Srila Prabhupada writes in purport, since one has to work even for a simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties of particular varna and ashram are meant to fulfill the purpose. Which is in this case, which is mentioned, the yajna means the supreme lord. For the Shruti says, yajno hi Vishnu. Yajno vai Vishnu. Yajna is Vishnu. Which means, what is yajna here? The yajna means we perform our prescribed duty. What is the fire? The fire is basically we offer the fruits of our activity into the feet of Lord Krishna, saying that whatever I'm doing it for you. So what is Krishna conscious means? Krishna consciousness means is performing yajna. Doing yajna and serving Vishnu are one and the same thing. Very interesting. If I'm working and my salary, they are not one and the same thing. The salary is the result of my work. But here, sorry, I can't see without glasses. So doing yajna, which means you're performing the activity, is non-different from serving Vishnu. They are on the same plane because you are doing. Okay, let me clarify. The goal and the journey are non-different in bhakti. Am I making sense? When I have a destination that I want to go back to God, and what I'm practicing is non-different from each other. Because when I achieve that goal, I will perform the same thing. And that is the beauty. Otherwise, what happens? Say you get an admission to the best college. Until you pass out, you can't get the fruits of those activities. You can't get a job until then. So you have to finish that. But here, even while you're performing the process, the result and process are same thing. While you're practicing the process, it also gives you the same result. Make sense? And therefore, one has to work for satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other done in the material will be cause of bondage. We spoke about it, right? Everyone is clear about that? Both good and evil work have their reaction, and any reaction binds the performer. How do we do that? How to do that? Under the expert guidance of devotee or under direct instruction of Krishna. In this case, who is Guru of Arjuna, Krishna himself is there. And for us, we need to have a guru who guides us. How can I dovetail my propensity in this? Like, very interesting example, and we will end with this one. Srila Prabhupada, when he came to West, and I was just talking about these people. So this person was addicted to smoking, but he had a skill of carving the deities. So Srila Prabhupada told him, you create Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya deity. They gave him wood and all that, started chopping, and then he started creating and painting the Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. But what did he do? He would smoke a cigarette, and the cigarette box he will put it on the head of Jagannath ji. You can imagine the height. We know the principles. And Srila Prabhupada came. When Srila Prabhupada came, he did not give him left and right. Srila Prabhupada said, so you're doing Jagannath Baldev, so you're smoking. He said, yeah, how many cigarettes do you smoke? He said some number, I don't remember, maybe 15 cigarettes per day. From tomorrow, reduce it by one. This person saw that love of Srila Prabhupada, and he realized what he is offering me is something so sublime. He quit smoking. And he is the one actually who brought George Harrison, who's the greatest singer, Beatles. You can hear his songs are there, My Sweet Lord. So he actually became a devotee. They went to London, no connection with anything. He and his wife, they just had a child who was just few months old. They went and they were living in some cartons and all that stuff with that small baby. They had a wild desire. How about we do Sankirtan, which is doing Hare Krishna on the street? And somehow George Harrison gets to see it. And it happens when George Harrison sees them and he invites them to his office. He invites them and they go there to meet him. With him and John Lennon. They go there. These were the whole group, but there were more people in that. So they go there and George Harrison says, I actually went to India and I heard this mantra. I was practicing this. And when I saw you on the street, I have been looking for you guys where you were. He is the one who actually sponsored the first printing of Krishna book. So there is Bhagavad Gita, which is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Another book called as Krishna, which is just stories about Krishna. Today, if you go to London, the temple there is donated by George Harrison. That was his palace, which he donated as a temple.
Where is it?
London, Soho Street.
Oh, so
Hub, the downtown of London. Very posh area. He was the one who donated that temple. Why did I bring that story? Coming back to this point, I may not have my desires purified, but when you think about this aspect, that about under the guidance of a devotee, how one can actually perform so many miracles. Imagine a person who doesn't even understand that the cigarette box should not be kept on Jagannath, or you should not smoke. Like, at least we have that culture that you don't eat in the temple room, or you do not smoke, or you do not don't come uncontaminated, whatever is there, right? If you ate, you just wash your mouth and come back. If you haven't taken a bath, you take a bath and come. Here he's putting a cigarette box, and what a transformation he went through. What a transformation he went through. And that is the main thing. So I'll just read through A and B, which is this: what is the results of working in above way, which is under the direction of spiritual master? This will save one from the reaction of work, which is karma bandhana, and gradually elevate one to the transcendental service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to Vaikuntha. So I'll end here. Any comments or reflections? Any questions, comments? What did we learn today? What is
one of the things I remember when you talked about Krishna, or is it like end of war? He had the assignment. He took it himself to put the shoes properly for the people
yes,
entering.
yes.
He does it so sincerely that all the people are standing outside watching how beautiful it is. They don't actually enter into the actual party hall.
Mm.
That shows how sincere he is. And That is the, I mean, considered by a lot of people cheapest work, but he has done it so well. That's, I think that is like, it created in me, that's, I think in these verses, one of them kind of says, put a lot of effort and do karma yoga.
To
That's it.
purify the heart. Very beautiful play. Thank you for sharing that. That happens actually Andraprastha, where Lord Krishna actually take up the responsibility because Yudhishthira Maharaj is inviting everyone and Duryodhana is on all that people are coming as well. And that's the time this happens where Krishna is calling and Krishna becomes he's arranging the shows and everyone is like, wow, the Lord has to do this job for his devotees. Very similar to the previous one which I said for that Brahmana. Excuse me. Thank you for bringing that. Mataji, you want to add something?
Um, Nothing specific, but it's about how do we control our senses, right?
Hmm.
Having knowledge about controlling senses is one thing, but how do you actually put that into practice?
Hmm.
So I think that's where the difference of knowing and then Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, putting
Yes.
it into practice.
Correct. And even if I don't have the desire to get there, even if I have those, I want enjoyment, I'm following. Like I gave an example about that the child who wants to eat the chocolate, he doesn't want to go to school, but the desire is, oh, my mom will give me that, so he wants to do that. So that's one wonderful point. Any comments online?
Yes, Prabhu. So I think, uh, like one thing I wanted to just speak up. So when you come to Bhakti platform,
Hmm.
we should not pressurize ourselves, our mind, or our thoughts. Whatever comes through, as long as we should do one thing at a time. Like you mentioned one thing today, which is we call that significant. No, you say something. I forgot the word, but sincere. Sorry,
Hmm.
sincere bhakti, like a
Hmm.
discipline. So we should do, at least if you're doing small thing one day at a time, we should do sincerely, not
Yes.
rush into it.
Very very important. Yes.
Otherwise, we will fall off from that path.
Correct. Just one other side of the story of the pendulum. I just want to spell it. Someone also thinks, oh, you know what? I will slowly come, and what happens? Years and year pass. They just stay there. I had a friend who joined with us. My wife started chanting. I started chanting, and most of us started. But this guy continued on one round chanting of Hare Krishna for years and years. And I met him after many years. He still continued that one. One should not be also so slow or sluggish on that thing. Oh, for me, I have a lot of time, I will come to that point. So that also has to be, one should not become lazy even in coming in bhakti. That's the point. Thank you for adding that. Any other comments?
So if we do all our karma for the Lord Krishna,
Yeah.
it keeps us detached,
Correct.
right?
Correct. It also relieves you from karma bandhana. What is karma bandhana? I have a pious or I have a sinful credit, whatever is there, I have to come here again when I die. But when you offer those activities to Krishna, you are out of karma bandhana. You do not have to come again to take the birth and death again.
Okay.
Does it make sense, Dimple Mataji?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
wonderful. Shrikant Prabhu, you want to add something?
Yeah, I kind of like the example that you gave. That, let's say you said the example where in this life you have $5,000 as a
Hmm.
punya,
Hmm.
and then next life you could be something else. Next life you could be another something else, and let's say you come back even as a human, and then start earning the punya.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of, I never thought that way, because traditionally we also always been told that, okay, always earn punya.
Hmm.
That was kind of a
Yes.
measurable quantity, like somebody say, okay, instead of papa, at least try to earn punya.
Yeah.
But that is not enough. You have to go even one step beyond that, and then align your karma in the name of God, so that it's not just punya that you will enjoy in your life, but it's something, you have to align with something far greater, so that you just kind of
Hmm.
um, like a prasad offer to the God itself.
Yes, very good point. On this, one time a preacher like me was giving this class. Next day, a person came with his boxing gloves. He said, "You said all karma has to be offered to Krishna or anything which comes. So can you offer these gloves to the Lord?" And then the preacher asked, "So what will you do with it?" So when I wear those gloves and when I hit on the face of my opponent, he will get Krishna Prasad. So that is not the intention.
Yeah.
um, Again, I know it's I'm not saying you will do it, but I'm just trying to
Mm,
bring in so that some laughter is also needed. The idea is that I offer everything with the
mm,
right attitude, thinking that
mm,
yeah, this is giving pleasure to Krishna. Some hitting someone or punching someone will not please Krishna. So that's the whole idea. We
mm,
do every activity for the pleasure of Krishna, and that's how, like, um a lot of devotees have the tendency, whatever new thing they buy, they offer to Krishna first. Whether I buy a phone, whether I buy